Hello, hello, hello. I'm excited about being here today because Women's TV has the pleasure of interviewing Dr. Michele C. Reed. My name is Gloria Nixon Pone, and welcome, Dr. Reed.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
You're more than welcome. I'm excited about your being on the show because I've observed you over the past maybe, I would say 10 or 12 years. And I've observed your conscientious work in community, your conscientious work in terms of volunteerism, and all of the things that you have done that I've just been in awe of. So today I'm particularly excited that you're going to be here at Women's TV with me, where we have an opportunity to celebrate good women doing great things. So tell us a little bit about your journey, Dr. Reed.
Okay. Well, my journey started back almost over 40 years ago.
Wow.
As a elementary school student, I decided I wanted to be a doctor. And I was inspired by my pediatrician at the time, Dr. John Branchy, who had a practice in Hempstead.
I know him. I know of him.
Yes. So at that age, I decided, you know what, I want to be a doctor. So from then on, I sort of just focused. I loved anything that had to do with the field of science, any and everything.
Wow.
So after graduation from high school, I went to Stony Brook Medical College. Stony Brook College of Stony Brook, SUNY Stony Brook, sorry. And at Stony Brook, I really enjoyed science so much that I started doing research. And from there, I said, you know what? I think I'm really going to go into medical school. But during my third year of college, the pre-med advisor had to write a letter. And I could tell from the interview that the pre-med advisor wasn't going to write a favorable letter for me. Yeah.
How could that possibly be?
Even though I was on the dean's list, he felt that I did better in the non-sciences and I should be an African-American professor instead of going to doctor.
Did you say an African-American professor?
Yes.
Well, the African-American part was already taken care of, so he didn't have to wish you into that spot.
Yes.
So the only thing he had to do was to help and facilitate the movement in the direction that you had chosen for yourself.
But unfortunately, the letter that he was going to write for me was going to be a negative letter, so I said I would go ahead, graduate from college, and then apply on my own to medical school without his letter. So I did research for 2 years, and then I applied to the New York Institute of Technology College of Osteopathic Medicine, and that's where I graduated from.
Wow. That's a great path. That it almost, like, I'm a theologian of sort, and when you talk like that, it makes me think of something that we call discernment. It's the ability to know that you know what you know without necessarily being able to explain it, but you just feel it in your spirit. And Malcolm Gladwell refers to this as blink. The things that you know in the blink of an eye, and you act on them. And he believes that that is the ultimate way to live. So when you tell me that you knew as a little girl that you wanted to be a medical doctor, that is like awesome, really awesome. And how, do you encourage, I know that your 2 sons, you didn't tell me that you had 2 sons, but since I know them, I can bring them up. You have twins. And they're already working on paths and doing very adult-like business. So it seems that they already know where they want to go. Do you think that's true and that parents should encourage?
I think it's important that you have role models. And for me, the first and foremost role model should be your parents. You shouldn't have to look outside of your family unit and say, oh, you know, that basketball player is my role model or that teacher is my role model. Really, your role model should be from the house. And from there, if you pick up other people who can mentor you along the way, that's the bonus. But myself personally, I do mentor students, especially if you're in junior high school or high school and you want to become a doctor. I try and have them come and volunteer in my office. Or even if I know of somebody who wants to do something in another field, I usually try and introduce them to whoever I know. So that sort of helps to inspire them along the way. With my practice, I do have medical students that rotate through from first year all the way to fourth year.
Wow, that's great. Now, I know that there's something called Student Medical Association, where students, SNMA, where students depend on having a relationship with someone who's already in the field and who's already doing, and who will sort of reach back and take them by the hand and show them the road to take, the road to get from point A to point B.
Which is very important, because the more people you have with the different experiences that you're being exposed to, that helps you. Even in my office, I have a young student that's there now. She's a fourth year student. So in about a month or so, she'll be a doctor. She was saying to me, you really do a lot in private practice. She said, how did you learn that? And I said, you pick up from different people who mentor you along the way. You don't just come out of medical school or come out of residency knowing everything.
That's true. That is very true. So I've heard it said the journey of 1,000 miles begin with one step.
Yeah.
So you help them to make that very crucial step of seeing you in motion and saying that it's possible.
That I can do the same
Yes,
thing. And I might even be able to do it better.
Yes. So I love that idea, the notion of people helping people. I was born and raised in the South, and that's all we did. If it wasn't for the ways that we supported and helped each other, we would not have survived. Our very survival depended on our ability and our willingness to reach back and get our nephews and our nieces, and so I applaud you for that. Now, I know that you've been in practice for quite a while. I also know that you spend a lot of time in volunteerism, and I know that you love to run. So now, how important is exercise and running to, just say, the average person like myself?
Exercise is so key to everything. So any type of movement I encourage my patients to do. Even if you just turn on the radio and you just dance and sing for a half an hour to 45 minutes, that's more movement than you would do than sitting on a couch. So the first step, of course, is the most important step. And that'll help to prevent a lot of these diseases that we face, especially in the African American community, dealing with obesity, diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol level. And just to sort of springboard on that, I started a wellness program in my office called Team Breakthrough. Team Breakthrough. And it's for anyone who is our patient, and even if it's a friend of a patient who would want to join us, who really has a concern about preventing further diseases, or you have a disease and you want to prevent the progression of it. What are you doing? So we're breaking through to whatever step you need to go to next. So what we did over the summer, we actually had Zumba. We did an insanity class.
I love Zumba.
We did belly dancing.
And what, insanity? What?
For free. We didn't
now,
charge
what is that?
people.
Tell me about that.
Oh, insanity is a full body workout. We can do it maybe next time.
Okay. Well, I love to move. You know, my husband and I have a regular routine where we have music. One of my nephews came to visit with us. They always come, you know, when they're 11th grade or so, and they spend time with us. And so one of my nephews left a CD in our CD player. And we didn't even bother to tell him that he left it. We just play it every morning, and it's The Simpsons. And the words of the song say, I don't want to ever be too far from where you are, because, honey, you make me smile. And my husband and I would jump into the kitchen and we're like moving.
Which is very good.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's the best way to jumpstart your day, by doing the exercise. Because when you exercise, your body releases endorphins to make you feel better.
Wow.
So one of the things that I've decided to do is we have an upcoming race or / walk that we're going to have our patients and Team Breakthrough participate in, where it's going to be at JFK Airport, and we're going to run or walk on the runway on April 6th.
So I know you have some website locations, and I know that you are, if not president, CEO, and bottle washer and cook, and the all in all for for family medicine. Tell us a little bit about your family medicine medical practice.
Okay. So MS Family Medicine was started back in 2002. Our first location was in Rosedale, Queens, New York. And then we branched out to a second location around 2005 in Garden City, Long Island, New York. We are a full family practice office. We take care of patients from birth all the way to geriatrics.
Wow.
And we welcome anyone to come.
And is that familymedicine.org or?
It's www.msfamilyhealthcare.com.
Wow, wow. So I hope that women at Women's TV will come and that you'll have so many patients that, well, not too many, because I want you to keep looking as well as you do and not work too hard. But I know that patients like a certain look on a doctor. Now, when I first came to New York, my doctor, everybody said that he was awesome. But when I went in and I met him, he was like, I would say without exaggeration, he was 250 pounds, and he was a very jovial Santa Claus-like guy. But I just couldn't get into him taking care of me because he didn't look like he knew anything about taking care of himself. So now when they see you and they see how you got it going on, slim and trim, lean and mean, I can see how they're going to really want to have you take care of them. And I have a confession to make to the Women's TV audience, and that is that you are my doctor, both for my husband and myself.
Yes.
And one of the things that I love about having you as a physician is that I know your whole family. And girl, if you slip up, I'm going to call Mama on the phone.
But Mama's not going to reveal anything to you about anything.
It's not. That was sort of a joke. I'm not really going to call her. But one of the fascinating things that I find about your family is that Grandma Minnie, she is over 100 years old, and I met her maybe 12 years ago, and she told me then that she believed that she would live to be 100 years of age. And so I said to her, I said, Mom Minnie, no matter where you are in the world, if you live to be 100, I'm going to be there to get some of that cake. Yeah. Well, on April 19th, 2013, Grandma Minnie celebrated her 100th birthday, and I was there
in South Carolina.
And yes, I was in Anderson, South Carolina, and it was just such an awesome experience. I feel that women who they're prophetic. To me, that was a prophetic word. That 10 or 12 years from now, I'll be 100, and I'm going to be around to celebrate. And she lives by herself and takes care of herself. So maybe is that something in the genes, or if I rub your shoulder or something, will I be able to accomplish that?
Well, it's part of all of the things that we've been talking about exercising. The more active you are, especially your physical body, your mental body, and your spiritual body, that's going to produce that longevity that you need. I like it when patients come in and they said that I've inspired them to walk more or to start running. I have one lady who came in after I was talking to her about how I run. She's already started running marathons.
Wow.
So just from me doing what I tell my patients to do, that's inspiring people.
So you're walking the talk, as they say in the hood. That is awesome. So,
of course, you can live to 100 years old as long as you do what you're supposed to do for your body, which is your temple.
Yes. I like very much the notion of the body being the temple, because we know that the temple is a sacred place, and the body being the sacred place, that's just an awesome concept. But earlier I asked you, what do you like most about your practice? And you told me your patients. So did you just find this love of people, or you just do it, you just love them because they're your doctor, you're their doctor, or Tell me, how did this love of people come to be such a vital part of your
Well,
life?
if I go back to second grade,
Wow.
in second grade, if you called on me in class or if you said something to me, I would start to cry. But one of my teachers, Ms. Wilson, she had me tested, and they felt that I needed to be in a higher class, and they placed me in the gifted class.
Wow.
So sometimes it takes one person to recognize what's going on with you to make a change. Fast forward to now, the more I've been around people, the more you learn from other people, the more you experience diversity, the more you travel, the more you're around other people. And it's just a cycle. And just from that, you can pick up a little something from just talking to people. Even if you just see someone in the waiting room and I'll say hi, they're not my patient, but they're with somebody else. And they're like, oh, the doctor actually came out and said hi to me.
Yes.
So little tidbits along the way. And I feel that we can both learn from each other. I don't profess to know everything.
Right.
And neither do my patients. But together, we're a team. And that's why we started Team Breakthrough.
And that's a great name, Team Breakthrough. So it almost says that it's not about me, it's not about you, but it's about we. It's about community. I love the notion of community. You know, 5 letters in the word community, or UNITY, unity. So when unity happens, there's a kind of connection. It's like a love Jones, if you will. And if you really love someone, you won't hurt that person or harm them.
Most definitely.
And so the notion of self-care is key to loving self and to being able to love others.
Yes.
And I think that's vital for a medical doctor to have care for the community, for others.
No, I mean, because this is our pool of people that we're working with. But I realize the greater pool is the people outside of the office. And how else to reach them is by working with the people that you have and inspire them to go out to the community to be that change. Oh, wow, you lost weight. You look really good. What did you do? I started exercising. My doctor told me to do this. Or my doctor told me I need to start eating breakfast, because most people aren't eating breakfast these days.
Is that right?
So making the simple changes, you take it back to your house, it spreads to your work because you're sitting next to somebody and they're starting to look to see what you're eating. They notice your clothes are fitting a little differently and they don't want to be left out. So you're inspiring the community.
Yes, I think that is so important. It's almost like a spiritual connectedness between people who are on the same journey of well-being, of self-care, both physical and spiritual and emotional. So it seems like a spiritual coming together that invariably makes the world a better place. Because if I'm healthy and you're healthy and we all work to become healthier, I can see that we'd have a smile like yours.
Well, you know what, that sort of ties into one of the things that I noticed in the practice was that someone comes in, their blood pressure is high. Was it high because of something they ate? Maybe it's high because they're going through a divorce. Maybe it's high because they just had an argument with their spouse. So there's a key component that these outside stressors play on people. So what I did was, we have a social worker who comes into the office.
Wow.
And she talks to our patients, be it for depression, be it for anxiety, be it for an adjustment disorder, because you're just going through a little something right now, a transition at work. It's important because all of that ties into your medical illness, that ties into the backbone of who you are.
So you said something very important. You said a lot of things that were important, but I just want to look at the idea of having a social worker in a medical practice, because sometimes there's like a divide between the medical doctor and the psychology and even the psychiatrist. So the training is different, the treatments are different, but yet and still you are able to bring that person in and accept that person and allow your patients to be helped by them. I think that's awesome, because the bottom line is there's no shortage of patients, even though sometimes we may want to hold on to our patients because they're our patients. But what you have done is that you've reached outside the realm of your particular practice and invited other people in, because you could see the benefit that they would add to your patients. And I don't think that's usual. Is that usual or unusual?
You don't really see it a lot in private practice, but you'll see it if you go to a clinic setting in a hospital. They usually do have the other ancillary services like social work or mental illness. But for me, I thought it was integral for us to have them come into the practice to deal with my patients that are there when I'm there.
And how did you come up with that? I mean, that's extraordinary. I mean, how did you come up with that thinking?
After sitting and especially talking to patients and finding out that the economy was bad, people were losing their jobs, they weren't able to afford their medication, people were getting divorces. I felt it was important to have somebody to come in to talk, because otherwise, what am I going to do? Keep writing a prescription for more diabetic medicine, more hypertensive medicine. Sometimes you just need somebody to talk to.
Wow.
Same way as if you come to me with high blood pressure, I'm not going to say, oh, just take this medication. I'm going to counsel you as to what to do so we don't have to keep increasing your medication. Same thing that's going on if you're depressed or if you have anxiety.
I think we need to write more about that and talk more about it, because so much of our illnesses that manifest themselves in the physical may have more to do with the emotional or the stresses, and we don't talk about that enough, I think.
Well, growing up in the Black church, we're told not to go and take your business outside of the home. We're told to pray to God, but sometimes God puts people in your life to help you through whatever challenges that you're experiencing.
Yes, I totally agree with that. I think that all practices, medical practices, should have this component. And I'm going to let them know what I think, of course, which I cannot not do. So I'm excited that you're not just trying to fit into the box of what you've seen in private practices, but you're expanding. You're going outside and you're bringing in what you think would best serve your clients. And I think that's innovative. I think that's awesome.
And I was going to say, I could be selfish, but I'm trying not to be. I even joined Black Girls Run. And from there, I've met a lot of phenomenal women of all walks of life who are going through the same struggles that I'm going through, but we realize the importance of exercising. So there is research that came out, I think a couple of weeks ago, where it talks about the importance of women who exercise in a group that decreases their risk of heart disease.
Wow.
So even though your estrogen level, especially if you're menopausal, your estrogen level has gone down, but by you forming a camaraderie of other people and doing it as a team, decreases your risk of heart disease.
Wow. Now, see, I didn't know that, and I'm on the mailing list for Johns Hopkins. They sent me all the research information.
This was University of Copenhagen.
Oh, no, I don't affiliate with them. Or I didn't affiliate with them now, and I'll probably try and get on their mailing list, because I really want to be informed as to what's going on, because it's the little things that make the difference. And so many people are being helped just by making minor changes in their lifestyles, in the way they eat, and the elimination of stress. Because one little thing can just stress you.
Most definitely.
And, you know, sometimes when you're in a community with other people, there are some people who live stress, and you can see it in the way they act and the way they look. And sometimes you have to just take control of your own stress in your own body, and maybe drink some water or something.
Get some sleep.
Get some sleep.
And go do that exercise that you didn't do that morning.
Yes. So all of that is like good medicine. You know, there's a text in the Proverbs that says, a merry heart does good like a medicine. So if you can keep your heart merry, happy, joyous, then I think that is what you've hit upon by bringing in the social worker. You know, you're not just saying, here, take this pill, here, take another pill. Oh, instead of 10 milligrams, I'll give you 20, and then I'll give you 30, and then I'll give it. So you're saying, let's look at this from a holistic, if you don't mind my using that word, holistic viewpoint. And I think that this is probably what practices will look like in the future. What do you think?
Well, that is also one of the goals, because there is something called patient-centered medical home, where your practice is the hub with all of the specialties. So, and everything is supposed to trickle back to you. So, yes, eventually, hopefully that is going to be the goal with more practices that are outside of hospital settings.
Now, it's called
Patient-centered medical home.
Patient-centered medical home.
Yes, and you do get recognized by the federal government for being a patient-centered medical home, and you'll get a little bit of an incentive seeing ex-patients who you're taking care of with this way. So right now, my practice is a level 1. We're on our way to doing the paperwork to become a level 3 one.
Wow.
Which is being held to a higher standard.
That is awesome. It really is. I'm so glad that we're having this talk about this, because I can see how much of a difference it could make when you really feel comfortable with your doctor, and when you really feel that your doctor is practicing good medicine for himself or herself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is doctors now are starting with the electronic health records, and that's one of the key things that we have to focus on is with the electronic health records, and we've been doing it since 2008.
Well, now tell me a little bit about that.
Well, we might have to bring back me another time to talk about it.
Did you just see?
That's a whole subject to itself. A whole subject to itself.
Okay. But it is tracking patients' records.
Everything is documented on the computerized
tracking.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's good. And you're young enough to take on that computer technology kind of thing. So that's good. And some physicians that are a little bit older shying away from that, because actually we were with one of our doctors. I'm not going to call his name, but he was saying, I get so bogged down with this computer stuff. And so guess what my husband said? Call Dr. Michele Reed, she'll help you.
What a nice way to end.
Did he do that? Did he do that? He did. So as we end this interview, I can tell you that I am totally excited. I'm excited for a number of reasons. I'm excited because I see the way you balance your own personal life with your practice. I see the way that you are interested in going outside of the box called medical practice and reaching out and taking in other elements that can better serve your clients. Well, Women's TV is very excited. Did he do? Is very excited to have you, and I am excited that you're here. And we're in Manhattan Cable now. Before we were just in Queens Cable, and now we're in Manhattan. And I'm excited that you're here with me in sunny Manhattan.
I thank you very much for inviting me, and I look forward to coming back again.
Yes, and the information that we talked about today can be seen on PoneInspirations.com, where Dr. Darryl Pone is our sponsor. The tall, dark, handsome Dr. Darryl Pone, my husband, who dances with me in my kitchen. Thank you.
Thank you.